I am just tanking this first time back in a long time. Anyways, Sanders and Belichick, NHL playoffs are going. What drives me nuts about the Major League Baseball podcast and a funny ejection story involving yours truly, all in the next 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more on a Friday night. Let's get into her.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast. Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversation going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans. So sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more on this Friday night, May the 2nd, 2025. Tonight's show, as always, brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code BELLYUP at checkout and save yourself $20 on your first purchase over there at SeatGeek. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great articles and other podcasts, such as the Corner Booth podcast. No credits required. And my guys over there at Craft Brewed Sports, always a good listen to on a Tuesday night. Always fun with the guys from Belly Up Sports. Lots going on there. Make sure you check out the website. It's all new and updated and everything else. Thank you very much for putting up with that bad intro. My God, I've been off for a week and a half or 2 weeks. It's like I've never done this before. A lot of little odds and ends and odds and sods you got to do here in producing this show on your own. But anyways, there's lots to talk about in the world of sports. Been away, but let's get back to last weekend with the NFL draft. We heard a lot of rumblings and ifs and buts and cans and nuts and what happened with the Shedeur Sanders thing. I'll give my take. As you guys know, that I'm not the biggest NFL buff. I'm more of a hockey guy, a baseball guy, and then a college football guy in that order. But when the NFL draft comes along, I always get a big chuckle out of the whole thing because people just lose their absolute minds up with this guy going here and that guy going here, and this guy's going to solve the problems of the world, and this guy should have went higher, this guy should have went lower. And if you're a bad team, you draft a left tackle, it's going to solve every problem you ever had. You know what? If you finish 30th or 32nd overall, whatever it is, your team's bad. One guy's not going to fix it. Long-term goals, I get it. You're excited about it, but you know what? It's a great big show about a whole lot of nothing, and that's my take on it. But the big take about last weekend for me was Shedeur Sanders ended up going the fourth round, the Cleveland Browns. I got a big kick out of the whole thing. I was laughing and I was smiling to myself, and I said, you know what? Maybe there's some NFL GMs and owners who might be listening to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more, and said, you know what? Maybe Brent's right. Maybe we don't need to take a quarterback who might not be that good and overpay him, and we don't need to pay a guy $15 million or $20 million or $25 million a year for a guy who hasn't played a game in the league. Maybe we buy our time. This guy, maybe he has great stats. Maybe he's got this. Maybe he's got that. We don't need to overpay for a guy that we don't know what he's going to do. Is the guy an athlete? 100%. Is Shedeur Sanders a polarizing figure? Yeah. Would he be good for your franchise? Maybe. But why give a guy 20-some million bucks when you don't know what you're getting? And it's been happening for years and years and years. And with the National Football League, Aaron from Brutally Honest Sports and me have had this conversation on a number of occasions where, you know, to be an NFL quarterback, you go in the first round, you're set for life. So Shedeur Sanders is already set for life because of his father. I understand that. But here's the deal. How is that game going to translate to the NFL? I would never draft a quarterback if I finished in the lowest percentile of the standings the year before. Why in your right mind would you take a quarterback who plays against I wouldn't say subpar competition, but when you're an NFL guy, you're an NFL prospect, when you're in NFL, you got that going on. You're playing against guys who aren't as good as you and don't play as well as you. So if you're an athlete, you're going to obviously rate a little bit higher. But why would you take a quarterback high when your team is obviously bad? Get beat up for another couple of years, whatever. Have a quarterback who isn't that good. Have a guy you're paying $3-4 million like you're going to Sanders now and see what they can do. Why give a guy $25 million you don't know what you got? over the years, you think of all these guys, like all these guys who went first rounders. I'm a USC guy for the people listening to the show on a consistent basis. I'm a USC guy. One of the greatest quarterbacks in USC history is Matt Leinart. What did he do? Nothing. Like absolutely nothing in the National Football League. And it's a cautionary tale. These guys, they put up great numbers in college. They play in great programs. They play in great situations. They play in subpar talent. They rack up great stats all the time. And then they end up doing what? There's not many great quarterbacks all the time. Like it just doesn't happen. Like you look at a guy like Matt Leinart. He won a Heisman, then Reggie Bush won the next year. And then Leinart did nothing. You look at a guy like Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel is a pro. If Manziel went in the fourth round like Sanders did, we wouldn't think anything worse of Johnny Manziel. You think, he was all right, good college guy, had a pretty decent NFL career, done. But because these guys get rated so high, because these guys end up being drafted so high, the expectations are too lofty to succeed. It's not a surprise that Sanders, because he's athletic, but his game doesn't translate well. Yes, his father obviously has a lot to do with what's going on there, and they didn't want that headache either. And I get that 100%. Like a lot of like in minor sports now and in amateur sports, a lot of coaches will pick a lesser known player or a lesser athlete because the parents are nuts and the parents are too overbearing. And that's what Deion Sanders is. And that's why that also hurt Shedeur Sanders' case, in my opinion. But I think NFL owners and NFL GMs got this one right. And I think you're going to see this a lot more in the very near future where, like, you draft a quarterback. Okay, we were 1-16 last year. Quarterback's the least of our worries. We'll find a guy who's tolling around a second stringer for a couple of years, build the rest of our team and see what we can do. It's ridiculous to take a guy out of college and think and throw him in a situation where he's going to set up to fail. They'll get beat up. They'll get killed because they aren't used to the speed of this game. They aren't used to everything else that goes on. And it's ridiculous to think that this is one of the first time this happened. Like Johnny Manziel, who's the other guy? Jamarcus Russell was supposed to be the next coming of John Elway or whoever, right? What did he turn out to be? So all these guys, they get you get told from NFL game day, they get told from high school, they get told from wherever it is, or see it from college game day about how good this guy's supposed to be, and this guy's going to be the next this guy's going to be the next quarterback, generational talent. On and on it goes. And how many turn out to be anything? 2%, 3%. Draft these guys in the fourth round, make them earn their money instead of giving them $25 million in their first year, and then what? What was that? Zach Wilson. Look where that turned out. Like all these guys, you think of all these names of all these guys that just don't do anything, and then they're surprised when they go in the fourth round. I would do that every time. Unless you're an upper echelon elite talent, you don't know. Like how many guys go in the first round because they had a great college career because they played against subpar talent. That's something about scouting. That's not NFL scouting, if you think about it. Like, how many of these guys end up just not doing anything? And Shedeur Sanders is one of them. Could he end up being a really good NFL quarterback? Very, very good chance. Could he become a great NFL quarterback? There's a chance. But why take the chance right now and spend that kind of money for that kind of a headache? And that's all it is. And for Mel Kiper Jr. to be going off the rails, because that was ridiculous. Easy, Mel. Like the owners are being fiscally responsible the first time in their lives. That's what that was. They're like, maybe this kid isn't always cracked up to be. Let's see. He can still make the team. He can still make the Browns. He can still be the starting quarterback for the Browns this year. He can do on and on it goes. Now it's his time to actually produce it. And I think that's what's going to happen with a lot of these professional sports is these guys have to actually come through and say, I was doing this, I was this, I was that, and say where it was. They have to prove themselves before they get paid. It's absolutely ridiculous to just give these guys money just because. Just to give them money just because. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me, and they keep doing it. I commend the NFL for doing it. I commend the NFL for not caving. I commend the NFL owners and the GMs for not caving and giving into the hype machine that is what is the National Football League, which is college, and which is the Sanders regime. If Sanders would have stayed at what it was at Southwest, wherever college 2 years ago, and all of a sudden he jumped ship, went to Colorado. If he would have stayed at that other school, would he been a first round prospect? No. No. It was all a hype machine created by Neon Dion. That's all it was. And I commend the NFL owners and GMs for not jumping in on that and just saying, you know what, let him prove himself, and then he'll get paid. We aren't just going to give a guy money because he's a first rounder, because it gets slaughtered and you got to take this for that and everything else. I like the move. I completely like the move. I don't think it was you hear all the talking heads and everything else that it was a race thing and it was a this thing, it was that thing. No, I think the owners were just actually for the first time ever being fiscally responsible and saying, you know what, let's not do this. Let's not give something we don't know. We don't know what he played against. We don't know how it's going to translate in the NFL game. Instead of just giving these guys money all the time like they've always done, just you know what? We're just not. We're just not doing it. And you know what? Our franchise is going to stink next year anyway, so why give this guy $20 million? Right? I think it's pretty simple. The other NFL thing we're going to get into if we get in the NHL playoffs, which has been fantastic as always. The first round is always the best thing in the in sports, in my opinion. But this Bill Belichick thing is something else to me. Like I just turned 50 last August, with 51 this year. That's how math works, kids. But this Belichick thing, 74 years old or whatever he is, he's got this 24-year-old girlfriend, and she's running the show, and she's at the practice in North Carolina. And that I think it was on the 60 Minutes interview they had the other night. I feel bad for Belichick. I do. I mean, I'm not a Belichick apologist by any means. And like his days in New England, they were winning nonstop and doing whatever they could do. And it was him and Brady and everything else. And you look at this and it's sad. Like, it is absolutely sad. Like, you just look at him and just defeated almost. He's got this girl. And I'll be honest with you. When I was 24, I didn't like 24-year-old girls either. Like, it's just one of those things, right? When you're 24, you're chasing cougars and and all that stuff. But it was this is unbelievable to watch. It's sad to watch. I just don't know what the heck Belichick is thinking. It's you wonder when he goes to his kid's house and his grandkids well, I don't know the girl's name. Who cares? I hope she just goes away. We never hear who she is. You just wonder if this is ever going to be a deal where she gets money and whatever's going on. There's got to be a backstory to this for him to be putting up with this, because Belichick's always been a hard ass. And you wonder, like back in the day when they were in Super Bowls and he had all these superstars, you wonder what kind of a tolerance he had for wives and girlfriends being on the sidelines. Now he's doing it in North Carolina. You got to think the people in North Carolina probably aren't very happy with this situation. Like, they could be like, what did we sign ourselves up for? Like, this, it's embarrassing. Like, you wonder if him and Tom Brady have had a conversation or two with what's going on with him, because it's tough to watch. And you hear the reports about what's been going on behind the scenes, and you just go, this is quite embarrassing for a man who had all the power, who would in the NFL be running guys' lives and doing this. Now he's got some 24-year-old girl, and I'm not being chauvinistic. I'm just saying he's got some little 24-year-old girl running his life and making him look foolish. I don't want to be the word I'm trying to be at a sports bar on a Friday night positive, but she must be one good piece of whatever you want to say, because nothing's worth that. Nothing's worse for the embarrassment he's getting. It's a bad look, and you're only as good as your last game, Bill. And the Super Bowls are going to get left behind when this is the thing that people remember you by, because that's how it works. That's how it works. You could score 40 goals. Hey, you score 40 goals, no one calls you a goal. Yeah, but you do this. Yeah, one of those things. It's a bad look for Belichick. And I just don't understand why someone hasn't stepped in and said, hey, man, like, because there's rumors. There's rumors that she's a prostitute and she NDAs and keeping his mouth shut. You just wonder why it got to this point. Eric and Viggs, how you guys doing down in the great state of Montana, watching some baseball down in the great state of Montana? How you doing, boys? Hope to see you again this summer, maybe get in the field. I got a funny ejection story later on tonight when you guys, if you guys stick around, listen to that story. I had my first one in a lot of years on Sunday afternoon here in Lethbridge, Alberta, at the college JV showcase, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, Billy, just walk away. Kelly Clarkson, that shit, man. Just walk away because it's a bad look. Anyways, the National Hockey League playoffs are first round. The Jets are playing the Blues in Game 6 tonight. There's one Game 7 already set with Colorado and Dallas. What a series that's been. The NHL first round is always fantastic. It's been nothing short of remarkable once again. The play and the emotion and everything else has just been fantastic. A lot of series end up a little bit, a lot of stories have been. A lot of the series have gone a lot shorter than I thought they were going to be. 2 claps and a point. There we go, Eric. There it is. But it's quite funny how it's all turned out. That Leafs series. I'm a Leafs guy. I'm a Leafs apologist. And Leafs and Oilers advanced last night. For Leafs got by the Senators in 6 games, and then the Oilers got by the Kings in 6 games. They both went around a roundabout way of doing it. We'll start with the Leafs series to get going. It was an odd series to watch because the Leafs they won a couple of games. They won the first game 6-2, I think it was. Second game was in overtime. Third game was in overtime, and then so they were up 3-0, and you're like, this could be a sweep. You go, hey, you know what? This is good. This is good. Finally, Leafs fans can just relax and not panic, not to do anything stupid. Just listen, just watch some other games, watch some other series. But then, of course, the Leafs are going to leaf it. And the Leafs lost game 1 or game 4. Then they lose game 5. You're like, oh, no. And apparently there was a situation where my father-in-law, he had a little I don't want to say a temper tantrum, but he used his phone as a weapon of mass destruction. It needed a little bit of a repair job, but the Leafs Nation was in understandably nervous because the long-standing history of the Toronto Maple Leafs, they don't do a lot of winning. And so when it happened again, and it gets to game 6, you're like, well, and I said it to a lot of people, and it's a Brent original. I don't know who's going to win game 6. I'll tell you who's going to win game 7, but at least ended up winning game 6, and it was fun to watch, and it was good. It was good for the Leafs to get through. My problem with Toronto Maple Leafs is that they just don't got it. I mean, to beat Ottawa's a good team. Ottawa's an up and coming team, but the Leafs just don't got it, and they're going to find out early and often against the Florida Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. The Panthers have Tkachuk. Now they have Marchand, and they have Bobrovsky in net, and on it goes. And Reinhart, and they're just a lineup that is won a Stanley Cup last year, and the Leafs just don't have that grit and that determination or that guy. They got through the first round over a team that maybe overachieved a little bit in the Ottawa Senators, but that Leafs team, you just don't. It's funny how you watch a series and the roller coaster emotions that happens. And you just don't know what the heck's going on, because like for the first couple of games, you're like, yeah, they win the first one convincingly 6-2. Game 2 goes to overtime, and I didn't feel any panic. Game 3 goes to overtime. I didn't feel any panic, and I was in a text group with James, my brother-in-law, and Peter, my father-in-law, big longtime Leafs fans, obviously. And they said the same thing. I didn't feel any panic. It just feels different this year. They have Stolars and net. Everything just feels different. They got Berube behind the recent Stanley Cup champion with the St. Louis Blues. Berube behind the bench, just a calming influence. And he's a very stern guy. I remember as a player, he was a bit of a ruffian, but there was always, they felt like, this is okay. And then they lose that first one. Okay, it's sweeping's hard. Winning 4 in a row is tough. And they lose the second one. You're like, oh, Christ, here we go again. And the negativity, it's hard not to have. It's hard not to roll into that, because it is tough. I mean, 67. How many years is that, right? So they haven't done anything. 58 years now. 57 years since the last one. So this is the 58th year, and I don't suspect that's going to change. But you just don't have that sense of security that they're going to do anything. You don't have any hope that they're going to get through this. And it's just the horses that they have are very good players in regular season. They put up points, and they do whatever they want, and they're great. But when it comes to playoff hockey, they just didn't seem to have it in those last few games. Yeah, they ended up winning, but it was fun to see. Like in the one game, it was Max Domi got the winner, and so that's nice to see a gritty guy get it. And then Pacioretty getting the winner last night late in the game. So it goes those grit, third, fourth line guys who are doing it for the Leafs. But like eventually, your big boys have to be your big boys. And Nylander, Matthews, Marner, and Tavares, he's been one of their better players. They just didn't seem to have it in the last few games. Yeah, Nylander got a couple points last night, but it just seemed like they were always half a second away from disaster, and it was very close to being a train wreck once again and being forced to Game 7, which would have been on Saturday night. And you just don't see how they're going to get past the Florida Panthers. I just can't see it. They're just not good enough. I think, and that is the biggest thing, is that they're just not good enough. The guys they've drafted just aren't good enough. And that's what you have to be to win a Stanley Cup. You got to be really good. Your best guys who you give a lot of money to in the regular season have to be better than everybody else. And it's plain and simple. You have to have some grit. You have to have some determination, because every game you get to and every series you get to, it gets a little bit more. And it just doesn't seem like Austin Matthews. Yeah, he scored a goal last night. I thought that should never win in. Even Brent Radlinsky stops that puck circa 1992, but that wasn't a very good goal. This was fortunate, but they're just not good enough. They just don't have that fire and that desire that it takes to win a Stanley Cup. I mean, it could be just my Leafs fandom and my Leafs disappointment over the years thinking that, but they just don't got it. They just don't have that it factor to win themselves a cup, and it's sad to see. Like you look at that Edmonton team. We'll talk about them for a second now. Like after their first two games, they looked like they were down and out, not going to be able to do a thing against the LA Kings. I was looking. The Kings were going to win a series for the first time against the Oilers, first time in 4 years. But then McDavid just said, you know what? After the goalie changed, Stuart Skinner shouldn't play goal ever again in National Hockey League. He's terrible. Maybe it's the pressure of playing at home. Maybe it's the pressure of being the Oilers. Maybe on and on it goes. But when you put in Calvin Pickard and he's won 4 in a row, run with him, put in get somebody else, get Joaquin Gaggi, Joaquin Gage, get him out of the press box. He can be the backup for Skinner. Skinner should not play National Hockey League ever again, or at least for the Oilers. He's just a big guy. I've said that before with Leopard Hurricanes here. I thought he's just big. He's not that good. $4.5 million is way too much for that kind of a guy. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. If you wanted a podcast, have your opinion, go and get your own podcast. I don't recommend it. It'll eat you alive. Kidding. But you look at that McDavid. He just said, you know what? Enough's enough. Enough's enough. We made a goaltending change. We can't blame anybody else. We can't point our fingers at anybody else. Him and Draisaitl just took over. Like after the first two games, they played horribly. You thought they were going to get swept. They made the goalie change, and then they only played about 18 good minutes in 2 games, and tying the series up 2-2 and winning 4-2. But McDavid's just a whole other beast. Like they only got the 2 points last night, him and Draisaitl in this, I think it was 6-2 final. But he just elevates that game and elevates the team to another level. He gets that crowd going to another level. Like this guy is unbelievable what he's done. And it's going to be a great series against Vegas. But what McDavid does on a nightly basis, it's something to watch. And just the way he comes on the ice for warm up and just boots around there. And it's unbelievable how he gets everybody going around him. He makes everybody better. And that's what a superstar does. He makes everybody around him better. And you have Matthews who just doesn't. You have Martin who just doesn't. Like you just don't have that feeling that I had the first 2 games, because now they're going up against the big boys. All the teams that lost in the first round probably should have lost. Like if you think about it, they weren't going to be Stanley Cup champions. Now the 8 teams that are left, there's still 10 teams left. But out of those, the 2 that lose tonight or tomorrow, they still have a good shot. So out of the 8 teams that are going to be left after tomorrow night, they've all got a legitimate shot, and every one of them has a thing. And I would put the Leafs at the bottom of that pile to win something. And I just don't think that they have the intestinal fortitude, as Gorilla Monsoon used to say on WWF on Saturday afternoons on 2 and 7 here in Lethbridge. I just don't think that they got what it takes to get themselves a Stanley Cup. They just don't have that grit. And I get a kick out of people complaining about the Leafs fans not being loud and not cheering and not filling the lower bowl during the games. And people are saying, yeah, they don't deserve this. Well, you know what, fans? You know what? I get it. I get it. I get why Leafs fans don't go down to the lower bowl when the puck drops. I get why long-term Leafs fans aren't jumping from the rooftops and not jumping, but cheering from the rooftops and everything else. Jumping rooftops are bad, means they lost, means suicidal. I get it. When you go up 3-0 and you lose game 1, or then you lose game 4, then you lose game 5, I get it why you'd have disdain. I get it why you would have butterflies in your stomach. I get it why you wouldn't be positive about a team that hasn't done anything in 67 or 57 years, whatever it's been. I get it. I get it. So other fan base should just shut up about Leafs fans being not emotional enough. Would you be? For years and years, if you were Cubs fans, Cubs didn't even go to games. Cubs fans didn't even go to games. Red Sox didn't even go to games for how many years? I get it why Leafs fans have a disdain and a panic button to not be fully invested. I live with one. She's like, they're gonna blow it. They're gonna blow it. It's negativity. I get it. It kind of gets a little bit old after a while, but I get it. I get it. Should you cheer for your team? Yeah, but I get it. To be fully invested, be tough. They got to get maybe the next round. Maybe if they beat Florida, they'd be fully invested. Like Dan will be fully invested. Peter, James, Leafs Nation, they'll be fully invested. But right now, I get why there would be hesitancy. I get why there'd be negativity. I totally understand it. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all. I'd be the same way. And the Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. I get it. I don't expect one every year. Wouldn't mind one, but they're relevant. Toronto's not relevant. Second round's not relevant. A playoff run, you got to go to the third round. To call it a playoff run, you have to get to at least the third round. Otherwise, you won a round. Who cares? You won 4 more games than the San Jose Sharks did in the playoffs who didn't make it. Who cares? Winning a round doesn't mean anything. It helps. A lot of money in the owner's pocket. A lot of money in the owner's pocket. 2 more home games, great. You know, you look at that Oilers team, and like that Oilers team, I think they actually have a shot. I think, and me and Deanne talk about it a lot. I should actually get her on the show. Maybe we'll do one on Monday night. Like that McDavid, he is just a prototypical pro. He wants to win. I mean, the guy's going to the Hall of Fame no matter what already, right? He's done it all except win a cup. He's the best. He's the most skilled player. He's the best player. Like he's talent beyond belief. That does it all. Electrifying. Said it here 1,000 times in 1420 podcast. 4 Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. But you watch him the last few nights. The way he just goes and doesn't stop. And the second he hits the ice, it just changes. The whole pace of the game changes. And now he can just electrify and get that crowd going. And whatever they decide to pay him next summer won't be enough because of salary cap. It is unbelievable. He's the greatest. He's the best athlete in sports right now. And I know there's a lot of people who listen to the show who aren't hockey fans, but it ain't close what he's doing right now compared to what any other athlete in sports is doing. It isn't close. I can't think of one person that is doing what he's doing. It's better than what Aaron Judge hitting home runs. It's better than what Ohtani hitting home runs. It's better than what Mahomes is doing. But the only thing is, he hasn't won a championship. If he had a championship, it would be on everywhere what he's doing. It would be everywhere how great he is. And it's not close. Like there isn't anybody better than him in any sport, anything. And it isn't close. And it's fun to watch him be out there. And then how Draisaitl kind of takes a back seat, and Draisaitl's up for a Hart Trophy as the MVP. So McDavid's not even the best player on his team right now, according to the voters. But it's been fun. I hope the Jets get through, just for my mom's sake and my sister's sake. I hope the Jets find a way to get through. And Hellebuck scares me. Like I thought that the Jets were going to win that series in 5-6 games, and they still might. But Hellebuck, he just doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies in net there for the Jets. Remember last year he had a really horrible playoff, and this year he's been He's been okay. He hasn't been great. 14-20 tip of the cap. By the way, speaking of goaltenders, Marc-Andre Fleury, one hell of a career. Ended last night. Minnesota Wild against the Vegas Golden Knights. It's too bad to see a guy like that go out on that note. But you know what? Hell of a career. First ballot Hall of Famer and a really good guy. You got to like it. No, NHL playoffs been fantastic. Game tonight, game 7 tomorrow night. That Dallas Colorado series. Too bad one team has to go home because those two teams just absolutely fly. Now McKinnon is a beast. He's an absolute beast. It's crazy to watch how good both those teams are. Eventually, they got to get a save. Ottinger's got to stop some pucks. Maybe tomorrow night's the night where he stops some pucks and says, enough's enough. I'm getting paid to do this. But it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Got another month and a half of this to go, and it's been wall-to-wall, great, fantastic entertainment. Hopefully, the Leafs can prove me wrong. I don't see it because you know what's going to happen? I tell you it's going to fucking happen. Well, it took me until 30 minutes and 27 seconds to throw an F-bomb out there, but I'll get my PP slap later on about that. But you know what's going to happen? Brad Marchand's going to score the overtime winner in Game 7, Leafs, Panthers. Marchand's going to throw it right up for the Florida Panthers, going to throw it right up the Leafs' ass once again. I guarantee you, this is kind of the way it works. Been a great playoff. So there we go. Sanders, Belichick, NHL playoffs. 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4-Beer Sports Talking a whole lot more. Here's a little word from our friends over there at Righteous Felon Jerky.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
All right, go to righteousfelon.com to pick up the best in craft beef jerky in the land at righteousfelon.com and use promo code Belly Up over there at Righteous Felon Jerky. For those you don't know, I mean, everybody knows. I guess I work in baseball. I'm passionate about the sport of baseball for since I was 5 years old. Since we made the big move from 19th Street in Fort McLeod over to 22nd Street, and there was 2 little league parks across from the house, and that my mother still lives in. Every time I go home to Fort McLeod, I still tear up a little bit and well up and go for a little walk and just reminisce about the glory days. Bruce Springsteen back '84, glory days. Still one of the best songs I think. Going. But anyways, baseball is it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. I'm old school. I guess I'm pretty much as old school as you get. Not maybe Sparky Anderson old school or that kind of, but ball strikes, out, face, batting average, runs, and you bat. Yeah, you win, you lose, and that's it. I am having a real hard time. I'm having a real hard time with today's way of broadcasting games, today's way the game is played, today's game the way is portrayed, today's game the way is just perceived, all of it. And I love baseball. Like I work in it. I baseball all day, every day, every single day. I baseball. Like in certain ways and around the game of baseball. I'm around it nonstop all the time. And so everything I'm about to say, do not take it that like I hate baseball or that I'm a baseball hater. Don't at me or whatever you want to say. I'm just having a real hard time with the way it is all put together. A couple of weeks back, I was sitting down here in the sports bar, the Yankee Tavern North, I call it, watching a ESPN game. I think it was the Dodgers and the Cubs. It doesn't matter. Actually, you know what? It doesn't matter, and that's the problem. It didn't matter. I was so disgusted with the broadcast on ESPN, and I don't blame the Major League Baseball for walking with ESPN, because the dribble that they were putting out there was absolutely the reason why nobody watches baseball anymore. If anybody can tell me, anybody, send me an email at 1420sports@gmail.com. Send me a thing on Instagram, Twitter, whatever you want to do. If anybody can tell me who gives a fiddler's toot, and I would have said something a little bit differently, but I'm trying to grow up a little bit. If anybody can tell me who gives a rat's butt what somebody's front side does on a swing, if somebody can tell me what somebody's launch angle means to what a game is, if anybody can tell me Who decided this was a good idea, that this should be prominent on a national broadcast when you have one of the best players in baseball history playing the game? If anybody can tell me within reason and convince me that this crap should be on television, then I'll buy him a beer. Every at-bat was his front side was this, his back side was this, his bat was this, his launch angle, his war is this, his FW war was... Who cares? Who cares? I don't care what somebody... Oh, it's a good swing. If I hear that's a good swing one more time after a guy pops up on a 2-1 slider, I'm going to lose my marbles. I'm going to lose my absolute ever-loving marbles when somebody says, it's the process. No, it's not. Winning and losing. I don't care if somebody check swings and bounce over somebody's head and a guy gets on base. I don't care if a guy bunts one down third that goes to the third baseman's leg, he gets on base. You know what? That guy might score a run. If a guy has a great swing 10 times, oh, it's a great swing. Oh, it's a good swing. Pops up 10 times in a row. You know what? He's out 10 times in a row. I have had it with this analytic BS that just doesn't seem to want to go away. I do not understand why we are subjected to it on a nightly basis on national broadcasts. You know why no one watching your crap? Because it's crap. Same thing happened last night, watching the National Hockey League, watching the Maple Leafs game against the Ottawa Senators. They're in overtime. They're talking about breakouts. Who cares? Quit psychoanalyzing the game. I'm not learning anything. I'm never going to swing a bat, break out of a neutral zone ever again. Entertain me. Tell me about stories about yesteryear. Tell me about things that might happen. Break down the game that's going on. It is unbelievable that somebody in these ivory towers in New York City, in Toronto, or wherever it might be, thinks that people actually care about launch angle. Either it goes out of the park or it doesn't. It's a base hit or it's not. That's it. I don't care what some guy's front side did because his back twitch and his this was that. He had a bag full of spits in his back pocket. I don't care. Nobody does. And if I'm wrong, tell me. But I'm not. Because nobody in their right mind wants to hear that drivel. Nobody. Did your team win? Well, they were close, but he was on his right side a little bit too much last night. A little flat-footed. No one talks like that. Nobody. Runs, bunts, strikeouts, whatever. The stats are on the back page of the whatever, the Lethbridge Herald. Team win? Yep. Oh, yeah. No, but geez, that guy had some good swings. They were, if he had some good swings, just some tough luck. Nobody frickin' says that. Nobody. Dodgers win last night? No, but geez, I tell you what, Freddie Freeman, his front side is looking a lot better than it used to be. Like a week ago compared to now, he must have really worked on getting his front side, holding his hands. Shut up! Nobody talks like that. And if you do, you're an idiot. You want your team to win. I don't care how this guy gets to 340. And no one does that. So all this front side stuff, it can't be working. It can't be working. More strikeouts now than ever. Oh, it's a good swing. Yeah, but you missed the ball. Like, you missed the ball. So it couldn't have been that great of a swing. There's more strikeouts than ever. There's more crap than ever. And ESPN does this. You know what's a good broadcast? I know I'm a Yankee hugger. And I know they won a lot of championships. But you know it's a lot of fun? Listen to David Cohn, Paul O'Neill, and Michael K. talk. Talk about the old days. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was good. Listen to Tigers broadcast. I watched Tigers game today. Fun. Talk to some old players. Nobody cares about that other crap. FWAR. I am the biggest baseball dork that I know. And I should probably learn it. But you know what? I'm not going to for that reason. I care who wins, who loses, batting average, home runs, RBIs. I don't give a fiddler's crap about all that other shit. And it's got to change. You're losing people from watching that because stats are for nerds and losers. Projected base hits. Oh, well, he had a great swing. Yeah, he went 0 for 40, but boy, he's got a pretty swing. Boy, but if he could just make contact, heaven forbid. It drives me absolutely up the walls bonkers when I listen to that crap. Like up the walls, like nuts. And you just wonder why it got to that point. If anybody tells me, if you do, let me know. I'd like to have you on the podcast to let me know why that enthralls you. Why you want to watch that. Why those stats and the launch in your front side and back side and hip pocket and this. Tell me why that enthralls you. Oh, geez. You know, he's putting it together. It's the process. Well, you know, he doesn't catch up on this process, playing AA, and then it'll be Leopard's Bulls next week. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And if somebody can explain to me why they like it, all the glory to you. I'll listen. I'm a listener. People who know me will disagree. I'll interject the odd time. But I want to know. I want to know why the average person who's never going to swing a bat ever again, and that's most of us. Why anybody cares about how somebody's swing looks. Why like Griffey had the greatest swing ever, right? Pretty. I didn't care what his launch angle was. Yeah, that's a great swing. Because it was. These guys, I just fill me in as to why we need to know what somebody's launch angle is, what somebody's projected home run total is, blah, blah, blah. Wins, losses, batting average, RBIs, home runs. That's all we need to know. The rest of it's all crap. It's all crap. At ESPN, there's a reason why the Major League Baseball said, you know what, we're good. Because you focus on that, and it's terrible. It's terrible. That's why I put on, when I'm watching a game, I put on Jim, the Fan of the Van podcast. Right? Simple. Put on a podcast. Put 1420 podcast on next time. Listen to this. Listen to my show. Gonna put a lot more out next time. I got a little story to tell about how I'm planning to put this all together. It's tough, but anyways, there's my little rant about baseball here on this Friday night, 6:57 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Mountain Daylight Time, I guess. Beautiful day today. Geez, 27, 28 degrees, which is 175, I think, in American, but plus tax and everything, tariffs and all that stuff. Anyways, for those of you who listen to the show once in a while and know me a little bit, I umpire amateur baseball. It's a passion of mine. I've done it for a long time. Was off for a few years there, but I'm back into it, and it's I'm going to the Little League National Championship back in July. But I start another day. But last Sunday, the PBA junior, junior varsity showcase college tournament was here in Lethbridge, so I went out there to do a few games. And Sunday morning, I was a little tired. I mean, I'm old, so I had it was my 8th game in 4 days, so I was a little tuckered out there. The little bucker who gets a little tired sometimes. But I was actually, you know what? I wasn't that tired. I was in bed pretty early on Saturday night. Me and Deanne, we went to Boston Beach to watch hockey. Actually, first we were back here by 9 o'clock, so it wasn't that bad. Anyways, got to the ballpark, and I was on home plate the first game, and I won't say who was playing because they might listen to this and have a different story because there's always 3 sides to every story, right? My side, his side, and the truth. But anyways, the coach that I eventually ended up having a little set to with, he got my nerves a little bit early. He was lollygagging to the home plate meeting, and that didn't really get me very, very happy because the weather was supposed to get worse throughout the day. So we're trying to get the games in and get everything done. But he kind of came up and didn't really care, and he made it feel like I was doing him a favor by being there. And I was like, this isn't how this works, man. You're in Brent's world. You guys are just living at this moment. I'm not an umpire that by any means looks for trouble. I care just enough to be really good at it, but I don't cause trouble. I don't throw guys out. I settle arguments. I like the 4 rules are ignore, acknowledge, warn, eject. I ignore. Then I acknowledge, and that's pretty much as far as it goes. Well, anyways, in about the 7-inning games of tournament style baseball, but in about the 7th inning, this game was dragging on quite heavily. And if I'm boring you, I get it, but it's quite a funny story how this all turns out. At about the 7th, the game was dragging on. Everything this team did was slow. They walked to the mound slow. They started the warm up slow. They got to the batter's box slow. They had a sense of arrogance about them that I wasn't really appreciating at my old age on a Sunday morning. I was like, you fuckers. I was like, oh, this is going nuts. And even the other team's coaches were like, Jesus Christ, they're slow. I was like, yeah, this is there's only one thing worse than bad baseball. It's slow baseball. And this was slow baseball, and it was starting to drive me nuts. And I wasn't appreciating the tone and the banter I was getting back and forth. Anyway, so about the 7th inning, the catcher and the pitcher had a cross up, and I wore a fastball right off the face, and it wasn't hard. It was hard, but it wasn't. You get used to foul balls, whatever. But I took one right off the mask, and I got it, and I swore. I didn't swear. I said, actually, what I said, catch the goddamn ball, or what? Yeah, something along those lines. And the guy, oh, my bad. I said, yeah, it is your. And then that's when I swore at the kid. I said, yeah, it is. It is your bad. It sure as fuck ain't mine. So I wasn't too happy, and there wasn't really an apology, and the coach never came out to say anything. So it kind of got me thinking maybe it was on purpose a little bit. Maybe he thought that I wasn't being as nice to them as I should have been, or wasn't favoring them as much as I should have been, or maybe I was a bit negative towards his players. So he didn't really say much. And then there was a couple close pitches that, of course, the team didn't get, because I know it would have been right down the middle, or a guy would have had to swing for them to get that pitch after me wearing one in the face. So I balled a couple of pitches, and coach he spouted something to me, and I reached down to my ankles pretty much. For those who were going to watch on YouTube later on, I reached down to my ankles, and I went, yeah, you're done. You get out of here. And I didn't swear. I said, you can get out of here. I've had enough of you. Go. Basically, your participation is no longer required this event. And he said something to me, and I just said, you get the fuck out of here, is what I said to him. So he's like, oh. So he once again took his time getting out of there. I was like, oh, well, this guy, if this guy had the shits, the diarrhea, it would come out of his ass slow. Like, that's just kind of how this guy was. It was awful. Like, he was an awful human being. And that's the thing. You know what? Don't be a shitty person. This would have never happened. This guy wasn't a shitty person. That's why this whole situation occurred, because the guy was a shitty person. But anyways, so he went around the corner, and he was still standing there, and his catcher was still taking signals from him. So I saw where he was standing because I work at Spit Stadium, so I kind of know all about the ins and outs of the where it all works. So I went on the corner, I saw him standing there, and I said, "Would you beat it? Get the f out of here." He said something back to me, and I said, Jesus. And I got thinking, that's the first time I've ejected a guy in a lot of years and all the X amount of games I've done. And you know what? It wasn't me. It was him. It was him. I'm a good person. It was that guy. He was the problem, not me. If that guy wasn't being a dick, we would never had a set to. But he was being a dick. So here's the story, kids. Don't be a dick. It's pretty simple. When you go into the baseball field, you're there to have fun. You're there to smile, laugh, hit, runs, blah, blah, blah. And then umpires, you're there to watch the ball, strikes, out, saves, have a beer, go home. And this guy made it impossible because he was being a dick. You know what? When you go into the baseball field from here on in, don't be a dick. It's pretty simple. Anyways, there's my ejection story. Hopefully the last one I have for another 6 or 7 years, or hopefully longer than that. I'm getting old. I'm a little revved up too. I was a little quite amped up, actually. I was pretty mad when I got back to the dressing room. Good thing it was the last thing in the game. Who knows what could have happened. Anyways, there it is. 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. A lot of fun doing this on a Friday night. Got downstairs. I figured I'd put one together. It was a good time. Anyways, tomorrow, Saturday morning, so I'm going to. I didn't talk Yankees that much at all. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to do a Yankee show, see how that's going, and then Sunday morning, I plan, because the NHL playoffs will be set. I want to do a second round. I got a guy who's going to come on and talk about the second round of the playoffs, how that's all going to work out. But this is a lot of fun. I miss talking to everybody. I miss being on the show. I miss the interaction with everybody. So make sure you like, share with everybody that maybe watches on the Belly Up YouTube channel later on, but with Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, we're everywhere, obviously. So make sure you get that out to everybody. Been a lot of fun. It's I really enjoy doing this, and I got to do it more often. I got to find time to do it. Jim, you're a savior once again. You get up in the early in the morning when I'm sitting around, you're 4 a.m. here in Alberta, and I'm wide awake, and you're doing one at 6 a.m. before you go to work. So you're the inspiration once again to do this, but it's been fun. Anyways, there's the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. Yankee show tomorrow morning, fun show tonight, and then a hockey show on Saturday, on Sunday, doing a bullhorn over the weekend as well. Leopards Bulls, hey, been a lot of baseball executive, man. There it is. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. Take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourself and year round. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with. Have yourself a great Friday night or a Saturday or whenever you listen to this. Just have a great time. And it's summertime. Let's get into her. Take it easy. Have a good night. Cheers.